We have a huge crypto trigger happening right before our eyes right now. What I'm talking about is Bitcoin, which is the driver of this market. If Bitcoin pumps, very good for the altcoins, and if it dumps, very bad for the altcoins. Right now, Bitcoin is still trying to break above its all-time highs, but it is staying on top of that breakout I told you guys about a couple days ago. Let's take a look into what's happening for Bitcoin right now. We're also going to be talking about some altcoins later in this video, usually after the 10-minute mark. I don't recommend that you guys skip through this Bitcoin section because I don't trade altcoins without having a clear understanding of the Bitcoin chart in mind. Okay, because if Bitcoin starts dumping from here, which there is still a chance, that's going to be very bad for the altcoins here. But later we're going to be talking about Stellar Lumens, which is XLM, USDT or USD, HBAR, Hedera Hashgraph, PEPE coin, see what's going on in these markets. But first of all, let's take a look into Bitcoin and see what's going on in here. Okay, I've talked about a possible weekend move, and we're seeing some of that right now. This is the hourly time frame. Okay, now falling wedge pattern. I've talked about this price target out of this breakout here is going to be about 109K.5. Okay, it broke out not too long ago here. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about as the trigger. We're going to get more into details of what's happening with Bitcoin here, but we're going to take a look into some major crypto news first, and I'm going to give you guys my instant reaction. All right, so this one is by News BTC. Are Bitcoin retail traders back in the market? On-chain data suggests so. Okay, I'm not really an avid analyst of the on-chain data. So if you guys have any insights on the on-chain data, feel free to share it in the comment section below. I am mainly a technical analysis guy, so I basically tell you what I see on the charts based on my own opinions and speculations, of course. None of which is financial advice, and you guys should definitely do your own due diligence. But yeah, share what you guys know about on-chain data. But I mean, according to this piece of news here, it does sound like we're getting at least more liquidity in the markets here. Okay, so that's I mean, that could be either bullish or bearish, right? Because the headline is not really saying so. And you can look into the details of this news here. Next piece is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin cup and handle breakout gives 230K targets as Solana eyes 2,800% gains. I haven't really looked into Solana lately, or haven't really traded Solana lately. If you guys have any insights on Solana, make sure to drop a comment as well. But what I do see is the cup and handle pattern for Bitcoin. It is on the weekly charts. Okay, that's the cup and handle I see. The target for that cup and handle on my chart is about 145K. So I'm not really sure where this analyst is getting the 230K target from. I do think 230K is in the cards very much for this bull cycle, and that will give the altcoins a lot of room to run. That's the significance of Bitcoin upside for this bull cycle. Next piece here is by News BTC, and it says Bitcoin must hold 106K and 98K to avoid breakdown. Well, yeah, let me go to the chart and point this out for you guys. 106K. Why is that significant? What kind of So I'm looking at the moving averages right now because we have quite a bit of moving averages below the price action that could be acting as support, just in case this breaks down. Nothing in this market is 100%, okay? I am always ready for a breakdown, whatever scenario that the market has to throw at me, okay? Let's just say if this thing breaks down instead, because right now it looks bullish to me, right? Let's just say if it breaks down instead, do I have enough margin to fund my leverage accounts, right? My leverage positions, that's first things first. Secondly, I would decide if I want to hold on to any positions, right, or cut my losses, right? It's going to be a case by case scenario. So it's going to be, it's going to be up to your own personal situation as well, right? And your own subjective judgments. But let's just go back to that 106K support, right? What I'm seeing here is the daily 21 and the daily 50 SMA, which is the two lines here, the gray line and the blue line here on my charts. Okay, that's what I'm seeing as 106K support, right? If it breaks down below that, yeah, that's gonna look pretty bad for this Bitcoin chart and of course the rest of the crypto markets. Now let's take a look into some lower time frames here. No, excuse me. 96K. Why is that important? Let me just refer to what that analyst is saying here. 96K is where the orange line is, which is the daily 200 SMA. Yeah, if it breaks down back below the daily 200 SMA, very bad for all types of significance. So yeah, 106 and about 96 here. Okay, that's what I'm seeing on my charts. First of all, if it breaks back into the pattern, I'm gonna be cautious. Okay, let's go to the next piece of news. This is by News BTC. Bitcoin consolidation continues. Two key supports levels to watch. Yeah, without getting too much into details of this news piece here, I've already shared with you guys my two key support levels to watch in terms of moving averages. Let's go over here to the next one. This is by You Today. Ethereum $3,000 rally begins. Bitcoin 120K delayed. Shiba Inu major price retest coming. Let me know if you guys want to see some Shiba Inu technical analysis. But with Ethereum, I think that's gonna very much follow Bitcoin, right? I mean, 10%, like a three. What's a $3,000 Ethereum? Is that like a? I mean, that's 20% move for Ethereum. I think that's very much within reach if Bitcoin doesn't dump, right? Bitcoin 120K delayed. I do, feel with that. I definitely feel with that because it looked like, a couple of days ago when it actually broke this falling wedge pattern, it looked like it was gonna, my expectation was that it was gonna continue through to 120K. However, it took a little dip, right? Not too big of a deal. Patience is the name of the game here. I've been waiting for this bull cycle to start since March last year. A lot of crap has been happening since then, right? You're gonna see quite a bit of altcoins crashing, coming back. On some of them, right? On a lot of them, actually. I've been down with quite a bit of altcoins since last year, but quite a few of them has come back. Okay. But right now, yeah, we are just waiting on Bitcoin. This huge retest here. Okay, basically it broke out, trying to stay above this falling wedge pattern. It looks like it's staying above this falling wedge pattern right now. I've talked about this yesterday. Bitcoin is trying to establish more solid candle closes on higher time frames above this falling wedge pattern. Right now, it is working on a daily candle above this solid falling wedge pattern. Some key signals to be looking out for is, well, if we're going to be looking out for possible divergence, right? It's very bad if we start getting divergence signals on the daily time frame, right? I also want to point out on the 3-day time frame that we already had a divergence signal, right? That played out to a red candle on the 3-day time frame. Now, could this be the dip before a surge here for Bitcoin, which is going to be very good for the altcoins? In my opinion, I think that's going to have a higher likelihood of playing out, that this is going to surge. Of course, also going to mind the downside as well. If this thing breaks back into the pattern with higher time frame candles, like starting from the daily, that's going to be very bad for the crypto markets. All right, let's go ahead and go to stock market real quick because it opens in the next couple of hours in Pacific Standard Time here. And this has high correlation with Bitcoin. If this thing starts pulling back too, that's going to be bad for the crypto markets. However, what I'm seeing here is still a very bullish move here. Okay, what I'm seeing here on this weekly time frame is that it actually invalidated a bearish divergence scenario here. And what I'm looking at here is about a RSI reading of about 64 on the last weekly candle close, invalidating a RSI reading of 62 from the last high on the RSI on this weekly high here. So that is a very bullish move. And if the stock market is looking bullish, I think Bitcoin is bound to catch up. Now, let's go ahead and go on to some altcoins, because I know you guys are here for the altcoins here, right? Stellar Lumens. Let's take a look into what's going on here. XLM actually looks like it's making a move right here, right now. Let's take a quick overview of what's going on with XLM. Okay, Stellar Lumens broke out of this falling wedge pattern. Price target still valid, about 60 cents price target. Okay, since it broke out, price action has been, kind of running within a downtrend here. However, that is not uncommon to see, especially with quite a bit of moving averages acting as resistance above the price action, including, on this time frame here, the weekly 21 SMA, the blue line, currently at about 27.5 cents. Weekly 50 SMA right above the price action right now, about 25 cents. Okay, however, if we actually take a look into a smaller time frame, daily time frame here, it looks like Stellar Lumens is trying to break out of this falling wedge pattern. Okay, I'm going to move this measure move down along this upper trend line here, just to get a more updated estimate. Okay, so if it actually breaks out the smaller falling wedge pattern here, price target is going to be about 30 cents for this breakout. Now, falling wedges, it's a very common pattern you guys should train your eyes to see, because it usually breaks to the upside. However, there's going to be quite a bit of different scenarios to consider, especially during markets where Bitcoin is consolidating. Right now, it is consolidating below its all-time highs. It could get a little volatile, right? It could break out and be way short of the targets. I've seen that. It could also break down from a falling wedge pattern. So these are some of the scenarios to be considering. Okay. Now, let's zoom in even further to get more clarity on what could be happening. I talked about this hourly time frame falling wedge pattern. This actually broke to the upside, and this was a it's not a very uncommon breakout to see, especially during markets where Bitcoin consolidates for quite some time, right? It's actually, I see it breaks out. It just drags on, trying to stay above this upper trend line and finally get a surge here. Okay, now let's just do a rear view mirror breakout analysis here. Okay, so it broke out here, retested this upper trend line for quite a bit. The price target was about 24.5 cents price target. It's almost getting there, right? So those are some of the situations to be considering. Of course, I cannot tell you everything. I can only tell you what I see as a snapshot on the charts, right? Gotta take into consideration and plan ahead on what to do in these situations where it looked like it could break back into the pattern and invalidate the breakouts, or just gotta read the chart and see if it actually stays above the pattern here and if the breakout's still solid. All right, let's take a look into HBAR, Hedera, Hashgraph, and see what's going on in this market. All right, HBAR here, weekly time frame, price target, it broke out. Okay, price target about 36 cents HBAR. Okay, now this has actually broke out. Very similar chart with XLM. It broke out, hit some resistance, went on a couple of weeks of downtrend. This is a double bottom as well, right? In addition to this falling wedge breakouts. Let's zoom in on a daily time frame. Okay, zooming in onto the daily time frame, I see a falling wedge pattern that has broken out a couple of days ago. I think this was after the video I talked about, or either before or after. But adjusted, this price target adjusted for this breakout here is going to give HBAR about a 20 cents price target. Now, price targets are estimates only, okay? There could be more, there could be less. And like I said, very much dependent on what Bitcoin does. Let's zoom in a little further and see if I can get any more clarity on what's happening with HBAR. 6 hour time frame. Okay, there was a small double bottom pattern. Okay, right here, one bottom, second bottom. Price target for this one is just about 16.2 cents price target, so not too big of a move, but it's a very small pattern. But what the significance of this move is that it's still valid above this breakout. Okay, let's take a look into the next market here, which is PEPE. Let's come to the 3-day time frame. I want to talk about PEPE here. So price targets on this 3-day time frame. Okay, like I said, very common theme. You guys should definitely train your eyes to see falling wedge patterns. This case, PEPE broke out of this falling wedge pattern, stayed above this breakout here. Okay, price target for PEPE out of this bigger falling wedge pattern is going to be about 0.000022. Okay, now 3-day time frame here. I've talked about the smaller falling wedge pattern, still valid. Okay, it looked like it was trying to break out on the last 3-day candle, as you guys can see, but it was not successful. It broke right back into the pattern. Now, what would you do? What would I do? Okay, if I see a breakout that looks like it's breaking back into the pattern and a possible trap, what I do is, before asking myself if I'm going to invalidate the pattern, that's one of the questions I would ask myself. Is this pattern still valid? Is this breakout still valid? Right? If this breakout is still valid, how would I validate it? How I would validate it is, just from my own personal opinions, is that on the highest time frame where I see this pattern is still valid, in this case, it's going to be the 3-day time frame, right? Is this still a valid pattern, right? So I only see a wick above the upper trend line. So in my opinion, a wick is still indicative of a valid pattern here. Okay, so this pattern is still valid, and it looks like it's still trying to break out of this pattern. Okay, so let's see here. If we actually adjust the price target based on this actual, I mean, it looks like it's trying to break out, and this could be successful. I'm just saying. I mean, there's still a chance it comes back into it, but right now, let's just say it looks like it could be successful. I see a price target of about 0.000015. Okay, very important to keep charting the pattern as trading data comes in. Okay, that is going to be up to you. I cannot be on your computer, right? That's not my job. I'm sharing my snapshot with you. So this is basically what I'm seeing for XLM, HBAR, and PEPE. Let me know if you guys want to keep seeing any more of these patterns. Comments, like, subscribe if you guys do. Let me know if you guys want to see any other coins in this market. I'll pick one request to do for you guys on a daily basis. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one.